zie nu het Discord schermen. New teams, new drivers, but most important of all, new prizes. And with new prizes, a new competition begins. I welcome you all to the NXTGP iRacing Porsche Carrera Benelux, powered by Sim Racing Center, where we kick off our season at the Hockenheimring, the well-known Hockenheimring, 4.5 kilometers in length, 2.8 miles. That is for the people on the other side of the world. Once again, I welcome you all. My name is Daan van Zutphen. I will be your commentator here today for, again, our first round of this new season of our first Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux season. We have done Porsche Cup seasons before, not Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux series before. So this will be our first Benelux series, and qualifying has just begun, as we already see the first incidents take place. The first incident again. This is Gian Zutuelle, the silver driver. I will explain everything to you coming through this qualifying session throughout this first race. But like last season, we had Pro and M classes. Now we will have silver and gold classes in this competition. Not to mention, of course, the silvers are the M drivers, and the Pro drivers like Louis Beilicke are the professional drivers. Louis Beilicke driving for Koanda Esports. Some big names have joined here at this first season of the Porsche Carrera Benelux here at NXT. We have Koanda Esports. Maniti Racing has entered this championship. Also Sam Kuitert, who is known as a Team Redline driver, who's not driving under Team Redline but under a self-created team, I must presume. In any case, Louis Beilicke will probably set the first lap time here in the qualifying session. Will Louis Beilicke set the fastest lap time? That is yet to be known, given the competition here is very, very strong. Again, new names, known names, some underdogs for sure, and we will see how it all unfolds coming this qualifying session. 2 minutes and 45 seconds have already been driven. Everyone is driving their first hot laps now, as you see Rick Postema driving the number 28 Porsche Carrera Cup car. This is Milan Tekens, well known. Like last season, we did see Milan Tekens. Rick Postema, did we see him last season? I am not so sure, but I'm curious when the timetable will be shown, and then who will be on pole for these first laps, for the first flying laps we have driven here in this new season. Jan Noble, the German driver in the 923 Porsche, getting overtaken there by the 997 Porsche. Don't know who that is yet, as I don't have the timetable quite yet. Tigo Linde driving the 997. Frey Koekoek goes fastest for Maniti Racing. Sam Giespers also for Maniti Racing, just trailing behind. Dennis Blokker, Gian Zutuelle, Miguel Alonso, the gold driver, currently P4. This is Sam Giespers. This is the Maniti Racing livery, and he's trailing Frey Koekoek by 1.6 of a second. But Louis Beilicke and Sam Kuitert still needs to drive their valid lap times. I can only suspect their lap times weren't valid last time. Well, actually, Sam Kuitert just put in a lap time P11 for him as of now, a 141.9. I'm sure that will get faster for Sam Kuitert. As we just saw, Frey Koekoek, your provisional pole position man, and the lockup for Tim de Vries in the 89 Porsche. He will do a detour to pit lane, go to a detour. Tavera Winter, the silver driver in the 524 Porsche, that is. Again, new names, lots of names here in this Porsche Carrera Supercup Benelux. I think we have an entry to a total of 35 cars here. That is quite the number, especially at a track like Hockenheim. It is small, it doesn't have too many turns, 14 turns. Some turns are flat, so it's a difficult track sometimes to overtake because of its small nature, but a fun track nonetheless, as all more times come in here. 19 times have already been set as Frey Koekoek. I think playing with track limits there, maybe, perhaps it is allowed. Did he set a better lap time? I'm not sure. Anyway, Louis Beilicke sets the fastest lap, a 139.4 for the Koanda Esports driver. He goes on provisional pole position, and everyone behind him has a lot to improve if they want to attack the provisional pole position time set by the Koanda Esports driver. The number 7, Louis Beilicke, again on provisional pole position. See if anyone can beat that time. Milan Tekens goes to 4th place, a 40.3 it is for the Dutchman. We have Dennis Blokker, a silver driver, doing really well compared, or well, with these gold drivers. We also have some bronze drivers. Those bronze drivers you will obviously see a bit down the back of the pack, but they are here nonetheless, and perhaps in for a surprise. Tom van Hamelen is one of those bronze drivers, as Johannes Trepman puts a 140.0 on the board. That is just over 5 tenths shy of the time set by Louis Beilicke. And well, needs to improve half a second there, as we see the Porsche of Michael Kuhl getting a slipstream by his teammate Simon van Dijk in the number 20 car, that is. Well, everything kicks off here in these first minutes in the Porsche Cup. Like I said, somewhat of 35 drivers here today, so it's a busy qualifying and it's going to be a busy race. But for now, we focus on the midst of qualifying. 7 minutes in, halfway. Louis Beilicke is your man on pole position so far. As we focus on Johannes Trepman at the Hockenheim circuit, of course, yeah, a German circuit known for its F1 appearances, but also known for its incredible DTM history, whatnot. Of course, a lot of regional formula is being driven here, a lot of regional German competitions. We all know Hockenheim doesn't have the budget to host F1 anymore, as some Kuiters put a 39.7 on the board. That is just over 3 tenths shy of the Koana Esports driver in front of him. Some Kuiters driving for Urano Esports. The Dutchman finding himself with a beautiful livery in the McQueen Dynaco livery. Why shouldn't he drive the McQueen Dynaco livery? We absolutely love it. I've said it before and I will say it again. We should definitely host a sort of livery competition here at NXTGP. Perhaps some Kuiters would be the winner of that. Of course, he would like to win this competition as well, and he's certainly a contender. Kuitert is, as Freek Koekoek is on his outlap. Sam Giesbers also on his outlap. 2 teammates within the top 10. And they will be giving each other a slipstream, presumably would be quite tactical, especially on a track like Hockenheim, where you have a lot of straights. You can use the straights to your advantage. Yes, you then have the very technical third sector, but you have a lot of straight on this track. Louis Beilicke wants to improve to, well, get a safe gap to some Kuitert in, get a safe gap to Johannes Trepman in. As some Kuitert, yes, you need that safe gap because some Kuitert just improved to 39.588. It is for the Dutchman, which leaves him just shy of 1 tenth of Louis Beilicke. So the pressure is getting relatively there for the number 7. See if some Kuitert can improve. Conditions will perhaps improve throughout this qualifying session. I don't have the info what the exact track conditions are, what the ambient conditions are. Those always play a part in a qualifying session. As Milan Tekens improves, 8 tenths off pole position now, 140.420, and who's the highest silver driver then? It is Dennis Blokker. Dennis Blokker with a 140.2, also 8 tenths of pole position. This is Dennis Blokker then. 140.4 for Tim de Vries, shoots up to P8. Niels Blauwiekel, 140.5 for him, goes to P11. As Johannes Trepman is heading for pit exit, starting his outlap. Dennis Blokker over the line. Will he improve? He will improve. Dennis Blokker goes up to P5. Your highest silver driver on the grid currently improves once more. Johannes Trepman in the number 18, currently P3. This is Louis Beilicke going out for another outlap and going out for a hot lap once more. See how many hot laps he can get in with the time remaining. 4 minutes on the board as Rick Postema goes to P14. It's quite a gap from P2 to P3, but behind that, let's say from P15 onwards. Was that an incident between Milan Tekens and a car involved? Perhaps it was just avoidance of getting in someone's way. But you can see the gap from P10 to P20, 7 tenths in between, if it isn't less. So in the midfield, it's going to be very chaotic. It's going to be a feisty fight between those midfield spots. Of course, we have prizes on the line, of course, which I will list in some time. Marco Kerkman, he drove last season almost every race, but currently finding himself in P20 as a silver driver, and collides with, I think that was the 507. Which car? Who the 507 is? Who the 507 is? I have no clue currently. Jelle Bele, in fact, currently P21 in his Porsche. Simon van Dijk, 527, the Porsche 527. Van Dijk currently P28 again, silver driver, wants to improve 2.4 seconds off pole position. Pole position, which is still being held by Louis Bijleke. Frey Koekoek P4, Johannes Trepman P3, as Miguel Alonso goes up to P6, and just named Frey Koekoek, he goes to P3. Final podium spot for the Dutchman. 159.9 he sets on the board. He has a little slipstream from in front. I'll see if he can make use of that. His teammate Sam Giespers just improved 40.2, 8 tenths off pole position. Giespers will want to improve. The Dutch driver who also drives in real life this season, Peugeot 206 driving for Sam Giespers, Tavera Winter. And this is again the Dutchman Giespers. See if Louis Bijleke can improve. See if Sam Kuijten can improve. Surely they are on their hot laps now. As I think this is Jelle Bele. Simon van Dijk again in the number 527. And he has a nice slipstream of the car in front. That is the 526. See if Simon van Dijk can make use of that. Tom van Harmelen then improves. Milan Tekens improves as well. It's getting closer to the top, but it isn't close to be a threat to pole position. Can Sam Kuijten be a threat to pole position, or somebody else? An underdog story maybe here at the Hockenheimring. We'll see as the qualifying is coming at its end in this first qualifying session of the Porsche Carrera Benelux season. Christian Bugampino, 140.6 for him, P14, 1.2 seconds off the lead. Christian van der Berg tries to improve. Looks good so far through the first sector. Will the Canadian driver improve on his current position? That is P26 so far. A good exit for Christian van der Berg. Non-track limits taken. Will he improve, the Canadian driver? Yes, he will. Up to P21 he goes. 141.2 it is for the Canadian driver. Louis Bijleke pushing on these final seconds, but when the clock hits 15.00, the qualifying session is over, and that means the qualifying order will be known as David Simon Jr. just gets up to P14. The silver driver with seconds left to go gets up to P14, but that is your first qualifying session done, and immediately we head to the qualifying order, to the race order of the first race here at the Hockenheimring. Louis Bijleke for Coanda Esports is your man on pole position. He will lead the field into turn 1. Sam Kuijten just behind that in second place. Frey Koekoek driving for Maniti Esports in third place. It's then Trepman in P4, followed by Tekens, followed by Blokker. Tim de Vries driving for Impulse Racing is your number 7 on the grid. Sam Giespers follows in P8. Behind that it is Alonso, 8 tenths off the leader. Winter in P10. Franse in P11, followed by Blauwiekel in P12. The 505 driven by Blauwiekel. Horen in the number 523 Porsche. He is your 13th driver of the grid. Just behind that it is Simon Jr. followed by the Spaniard Pino in the 61 Porsche. Gian Zutuelle in P16 followed by Laurinonis, very difficult name, in P17 followed by Postma, Koel, Krause, Berg, Kerkman, Juri Verzwijveren and Jelle Belen. Slots in P24 as I can already see the drivers on the grid. Veldhoen, Dijk, Linde Hamelen, Werle, Vastenhout, Wit, Nobel, Ozzy, Alderink, Horvat and Jamie de Koele. Slots in P36 and I think that is the last man on the grid, and if I'm not mistaken we will leave here at the Hockenheimring from a standing start. When the light goes out, heat 1 will start. 20 minutes long will the first race be. We also have a second race here at NXTGP, so 2 races here today, 2 races every round of the season, which both will be 20 minutes long. And well, with 36 drivers on the grid on this 4.5 kilometer long circuit, we will have a race which undoubtedly will be spectacular. That's the 3rd light, 4th light, 5th light who will have the best start here, as the focus is on the leader. Louis Beleke for Conde Esports is off. He has a good start. Sam Kuijten doesn't really have a good start compared to Frey Koekoek, who's on his outside, but Koekoek on the outside needs to look out for Johannes Treppmann, as we already have some incidents. 4 wide going into turn 2 it by the looks of it. Milan Tekens currently in P5. Sam Giesbers trying to make his way up coming from P8, and we have a lot of collisions, a lot of incidents expected with 35 cars. Miguel Alonso in P19, the Spaniard trying to avoid all the carnage that's unfolding on the right, left, center and in front of him as we go towards turn. Now that's Sam Giesbert, or is that Frey Koekoek and Johannes Treppmann in the number 18. Johannes Treppmann being squeezed by the Maniti Racing cars. And as well, I don't know really what happened there, but it's chaos nonetheless, as Johannes Treppmann on the inside. There's Sam Giesbert trying to make it 3 wide. It's the number 3 Maniti car, or is it Frey Koekoek? I'm not sure. 3 wide going into turn 8, that is. Spectacular scenes here for P5, for the top 5, top 6 positions here as we go 3 wide. Once again, that won't fit coming into the stadium section, once again, sector 3, that is, as Johannes Treppmann tries to improve, tries to get his positions back after an incident that happened with, I think that must have been Frey Koekoek, because they were at the front of the field, as Johannes Treppmann, the German, now in P7. Louis Beleke in the first lap of the season. He is your front runner. Louis Beleke followed by Sam Kuijten, followed by Milan Tekens in P3. But these 2 drivers have absolutely run away with the carnage that unfolded behind them. And so maybe these drivers are in for an easy race. And we have a massive incident there right in front. Who are the drivers involved in that incident? I already see some damage, but yeah, the number 61, that is, who the other car is, I can't quite see. Frey Koekoek in the number 6. It was indeed Sam Giesbers who made it 3 wide a lap earlier, coming in the corner, a few corners after this one, coming into the hairpin, Johannes Treppmann, and this is Milan Tekens, and well, Sam Giesbert overshooting the corner there just behind, but the fight for P3 is there as well, as Sam Kuijten must have made a mistake. Focus on Sam Giesbert for now, because this fight for P5 is kicking off. Giesbert needing to defend off Dennis Blokker, a silver driver, battling with the gold drivers, but the Benelux Esports racing team finds themselves in, well, a somewhat stable situation so far, as the drivers behind are still battling away, because Treppmann for sure wants to make a move on the silver driver just ahead of him, Dennis Blokker, once again, as the 503 is looking in his mirrors, because well, Johannes Treppmann qualified in 4th position, and he is not a driver to be underlooked by, however you want to name it. as perhaps there is some action in the midfield. We already saw some crashes, some huge incidents coming out of turn 1, and one incident again. Who the driver is, that's Tafera Winter, I think the Spanish driver, dropping down the order after losing it on the exit of turn 1. Luna de Wit currently in P23. Tim Krause in P24, trying to make a move on. This is the number 518. P25, Michael Kool had a little look on the outside of the guy ahead of him, of the driver ahead of him, Tim Krause that is, but couldn't quite make the move, or didn't have any chance at all. Tim Krause driving behind Luna de Wit. Sam Kuijten must have made a mistake. Not so sure what happened to the Dutchman, because he is currently being almost being attacked by Milan Tekens. He was getting attacked by Tekens just a lap earlier, because, well, Kuijten must have made a mistake, because the gap between Kuijten and Tekens was relatively large, a second, if not more, at the end of the first lap. So, well, we probably won't get a replay on it. That must have mean Sam Kuijten made a mistake on his own merit. But so far, still running in P2 steadily for the Dutchman. Again, Tafera Winter, who made a mistake this lap coming out of turn 1 and has fallen down. Perhaps the 524 Porsche can make his way up. Tigo Lindedan applying the pressure on the number 16 in the field, on the 997, actually needing to defend, needing to look in his mirror, because Sylvain Vastenhout is in P18. The Pons driver, and also the Dynaco McQueen livery, as we have a fight for, that must be P16, P17, 3 wide, the Canadian driver in the middle, that 3 wide going into turn 3 there, and an incident, of course an incident, Tafera Winter involved there, as I'm not sure what happened. Well, I can take a guess, 3 wide into 1, just didn't go. The Canadian driver wanted to make it 3 wide, a little bit of understeer. No, I think it's just a 997 who had understeer, and because of that, well, the Canadian driver in the middle needing to take avoiding action or just getting shoved wide, and as a result the outside driver being the ultimate victim because of it. Sam Giesbers in the number 3 car again, as we have a fight for P6 and P7. Johannes Strepman again making the comeback he so desperately wants after that incident on the start, touching the gravel a little bit, exiting Mobile 1 curve. And, well, that won't help his efforts of catching the guys in front, catching the Miniti Racing drivers. He's best Koekoek. In front of that, Taken, Sam Kuijten, of course, Louis Pelike driving for Coanda Esports, still in P1. Sylvain Vastenhout in P16, not followed by Michael Kool. I wanted to say followed by Michael Kool, but Kool is in a fight for, that must be P19, P18 perhaps. P21, and this is Niklas Werle, so it was P20 in fact. Florian Horvath. Florian Horvath again making the move on, that must be Niels Blauwinkel, who also overtakes Berkin Os. So was in fact the Austrian driver who made a move on Berkin Os, who's currently driving P26, but now he needs to look out for Niels Blauwinkel, the 505. Maybe he can dive for a move in the hairpin, and so the cars behind can do the same, and that is the 0556 with, I think, almost a dangerous rejoin as the 525, and the Luna de Wit fighting over their positions, their respective P25. Just in front of that, again, Blauwinkel and Horvath fighting for P24 and P23, as Christian van der Burg has had an incident, who's stumbling down the order. There went another Porsche Cup chaos. It is, with 36 drivers on the field, entertainment everywhere you see. Well, we have had some victims already, quite some victims on stream, let alone what we have missed on this stream. Couldn't imagine. The number 505 though, Niels Blauwiekel, still in fight with Florian Horvath. As well, the timing sheets say some Kuijten and Louis Beilicke are out, but that must have been a fault, because some Kuijten again still in this race. Milan Tekens, I think in P3. Yep, in P3. The timing timetable is having a stroke. Anyway, Milan Tekens in P3, going through the hairpin. P3 for Milan Tekens, improved his pace compared to last season. Couldn't quite consistently get his pace up towards the front, but Milan Tekens currently driving P3 in front of Koekoek and Sam Giesbergs, doing a very good job, the Dutchman, in P3 so far. Of course, with a new competition, like I mentioned in the stream, new prizes. About those prizes, we'll have all the information very, very soon. As well, this race, you know, they say time flies when you're having fun, and we indeed have fun, and we've already raced 10 minutes long. We've had a qualifying session of 15 minutes and already a race of 10 minutes so far. And well, for me, it almost feels like 5 minutes, because we've had so much action here today, as maybe these two drivers, P4 and P5, Koekoek and Giesbergs, can spice up the fight a little for P4, for P5, of course, their teammates, so perhaps they'll race with a bit of caution, but that doesn't mean they can't fight for their respective positions. Approaching the hairpin, perhaps the midfield has some action. I can see a fight for, well, P9, P10, very close to each other. David Simon Jr., who improved, and well, there's a spinner. This is Niels Blauwiekel again in the 505. He did have Florian Horvath in front of him last time we checked. This is Luna de Wit. Luna de Wit in a 924 Porsche, losing it on the exit of turn 1, losing it on traction. Dirty tires now for Luna de Wit, losing her car, and well, that means that de Wit probably has a tougher race in store. She falls down to P26. Niels Blauwiekel again. This is Dennis Blokke in P7. So the fight for P7, 8, 9 is on, if I'm not mistaken. We have a car behind that one. Perhaps yes, I already thought the car in between is a car that has received blue flags, because Robert van Hoorn is driving in P8, trying to chase down Dennis Blokker in P7. So it's the top 6 gold drivers. Then P7, 8, 9 silver drivers, followed by gold driver Miguel Alonso. Again, this fight for the Maniti Racing drivers. Robert van Hoorn again in P8. P5 it is then for Sam Giesbergs. A slowdown for Simon van Dijk. You can see it at the timetable in the left, a black box behind the name of P17. That means that you have a slowdown, you have cut a corner somewhere on the track, and that can happen to any of these guys as well. It can happen to the leader. Spoken of the leader, Louis Beilicke, the Juan Esports driver, 4.4 seconds is his lead, and 4.4 seconds to Sam Kuijten. Sam Kuijten, the Dutchman, finding himself in P2, had a little incident in lap 2, lost a bit of time, and perhaps he can close the gap, but it's difficult. We all know Louis Beilicke, we all know Sam Kuijten, two drivers of a very high level, dare I say the highest level in iRacing competition. So these two guys, there will be nothing in between them. The gap also just stays 4.3 seconds. These guys, they don't take tenths of each other, they take thousands of each other. And well, it's only fantastic to see such competition thriving in the NXTGP Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux. This is the fight for the points. David Simon Jr., the Dutchman, has he got a good exit? Well, I mean, he has, but he's lapping a slower car as the 512 is holding up Miguel Alonso, the Spaniard, a bit, and because of it, Miguel Alonso needs to look in his rearview mirrors, because there is Rick Postema. Rick Postema in that must be P11, and Rick Postema now trying on the outside. Surely he can't do it on the outside because there is a lapped car in front of him, which will slow him down detrimentally. Which means Rick Postema will have to wait to do an attack once more for the top 10. I've kept it a little secret, the prizes in this competition. We have a prize pool of 370 euros combined. P1 in the pro class receives 75 euros and 2 hours of coaching with Sim Racing Center. In P2 we have 50 euros and P2 also wins an hour of coaching with Sim Racing Center. In P3 we have 30 euros, so 30 euros is given by the man who finishes P3 at the end of the season. And he gets a free custom livery on our website. So those custom liveries you can check out at our website, NXTGP iRacing.com. You can also still sign up for, I think, a few of our competitions, our endurance competition. The sign-ups are still open, perhaps if you ask nicely. P4, at the end of the season, the man who finishes P4 gets a free custom livery plus 2 months of setup subscription with Sim Racing Center. P5 gets a free entrance for the next season. I say next season, but that next season can also be used in other competitions, so it doesn't necessarily have to be for the next season of the Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux season. P6 receives a 1 month of setup subscription with Sim Racing Center, and the driver of the season gets a free entrance next season. So I'm assuming the driver of the season, who will be decided by votes, will get a free entrance next season. The M prize pool is 130 euros only. Prizes for the top 4. P1 gets 30 euros and an hour of coaching with Sim Racing Center. P2 gets a free custom livery plus a free entrance next season, and P3 and P4 both get a free entrance for the next season. As we look to David Simon Jr., the Dutch driver, the 526 driver, finding his feet in this Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux, currently driving P9, third of the silver drivers. As I noticed Sam Giesbers is P4, Frey Koekoek is P5. I'm not sure if these drivers have swap positions. My mind could deceive me there, but they're of course both so identical. It's hard to tell them apart from numbers and names. But not making it difficult, and I can see both drivers they're visibly gaining time on Milan Tekens. Of course, both providing, well, I mean, Freek Koekoek is getting the slipstream from Sam Giesbers, which helps with lap time. And you can see the slipstream does a lot of work. Are they fighting? Is Sam Giesbers opting for a more defensive line there? I'm not sure, but the teammates, in any case, on the pace together, aren't separated by anything at all, given they both can keep up with each other. As Michael Kool gets a slowdown, the driver in P16 that is. As do we have a fight there for P17 and No, that is in fact a man with blue flags. Yuri Verzwijveren, this is Yuri Verzwijveren. Doesn't have a streamlined Porsche Carrera Cup. Oh, lock up for the number 918 Porsche. And yeah, you will lose time with such a lockup. Yuri Verzwijveren will lose time, has lost time, and has lost a position as well, probably, to Michael Kool. Yuri Verzwijveren in it to win the bronze championship here, currently in P3 if I'm not mistaken, of the bronze drivers. Yes, that is correct. Who's currently leading the bronze classification, then that will be Tigo Linde. Then in number 14, just in general, just behind that is Sylvain Vastenhout in the Dynaco livery there. Fantastic to see. P15 it is for Sylvain Vastenhout, chasing the overall victory in the bronze class. As the gap to Louis Beilicke and Sam Kuijten is still, well, I say still, the last time we checked, which was some laps ago, 5 laps ago if I'm not mistaken, it was 4.4 seconds. 4.3 seconds, it is now 4.4 seconds, so again, nothing in between those two. Someone needs to make a mistake if any change in position wants to happen for not only P1 and P2 but also P3, and well, the race has finished, and has it, because I can see the finish flags being waved out. Louis Beilicke has finished and has won the very first race here at the NXTGP Carrera Cup Benelux. Sam Kuijten will be your man in second place, followed by Milan Tekens. Driven really well. Milan Tekens improved his pace upon last season. Sam Giespers and Frey Koekoek for Maniti Racing both finished in P4 and 5. Johannes Trepman, who had an incident with Frey Koekoek, finishes in P6, followed by Dennis Blokker, Robin van Hoorn, David Simon Jr. And it's getting all very chaotic at the end of this race. Then after turn 1, as Miguel Alonso, the Spaniard. P10 it is for Miguel Alonso. Rick Postema, Hartford P11. Gian Zoeterwelle finishes in P12. Jelle Bele finishes in P13, followed by Tigo Linde, Sylvain Vastenhout. Yuri Verzwijveren finishes in P16, followed by Bram Veldhoen, Florian Horvat, followed by Niels Blauwekil in P19, and Luna de Wit finishes in P20. We have seen a lot of incidents here today. So take a breath. Not everyone has finished yet. We see numerous of drivers finish this race, as we are heading for our 5-minute breaks. Well, breaks, of course, cars have breaks, but we don't have breaks in our racing format. We will have a break of 5 minutes. After that, we will have another 20-minute race with a reverse top 10. So that means Louis Beilicke and Sam Kuijten will need to start from P10 and P9 and work their way up if they want to win it. And we will have a small break of 5 minutes, and we'll be back with you again for the second race here at the virtual Hockenheimring. 20 minutes long, 20 minutes of spectacular entertainment here. We will have you back in 5 minutes time. Until then. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the second race here at the Hockenheimring. I think we will go to the oval grid positions for the second race here. Everyone's has almost lined up here. In any way, Mikel Alonso will start your feature race, your reversed top 10 race on pole position, followed by David Simon Jr. who will start in second place after finishing P9 in race 1. Robert van Hoorn will start at P3. Robert van Hoorn again in P3, Dennis Blokker followed in P4, Sam Giesbers, Milan Tekens, Sam Kuijten and Louis Beeleke reversed top 10 for them. Also, lights out, lights away, green flag. We are racing for the second race here at the NXTGP Porsche Carrera Super Cup Benelux as David Simon Jr. immediately takes the lead after a bad start from the man on pole position. Johannes Treppmann in P7 trying to make his way up the field as we already have some collisions at the back of the grid. Koanna eSports driver Louis Beeleke trying to get his way up the order as well. Sylvain Vastenhout in P15, Yuri Verzwijveren in P16. So far we saw him with the lockup. Someone has gone off, that is the number 9. Not sure who the number 9 actually is. See what happens at the front end. This is Robert van Hoorn in P2. He needs to keep an eye on his rear view mirrors because there is the 503 of Dennis Blokker. But Blokker needs to look in his rear view mirror as well, because closer to him is Frey Koekoek. The Maniti driver has a serious shot on getting the victory here at the Hockenheimring. So does Sam Giesbers, and we can't of course rule out Louis Beeleke. And well, where is Sam Kuijten? Has the number 9 in Sam Kuijten 10? I can't see him in the standings, but something must have happened to the Dutch driver Robert van Hoorn. Still in P2, that is the fact that remains, probably after this first lap as well. As we go into the second lap, Tim Krause loses a position, gains a position once again. Fights are being held in the third sector of this opening lap in race 2 at the Hockenheimring. Once again, the drivers need to navigate a 4.5 kilometer track as Jamie Tekoele. This is Sam Kuijten. Something must have happened to Sam Kuijten. I see some dirt on the side. I see also people flying off on the track at the exit of the last turn actually, not turn 1. Sam Kuijten heading into turn 1 with a significant overspeed compared to the drivers ahead of him, gaining position after position. Something must have happened to Sam Kuijten, unless he started from pit lane, which I didn't see. But now Sam Kuijten in P24, 3 wide going in towards the hairpin. Towards the hairpin, the Spitskerre, and Sam Kuijten is already ahead. Oh, we have a massive incident there. Will this cause any more chaos? Just behind the Dutchman, the 69 of Sam Kuijten, Bram Veldhoen. This is a replay of the start then. Oh wow, what a scent from, I'm not sure who that is. It's not Milan Tekens, but Bram Veldhoen being claimed victim there. The 905 Porsche. But yeah, we saw a lot of chaos then at the rear, just behind Sam Kuijten. As we focused once again on Sam Kuijten. Sam Giesbers is in P2, Frey Koekoek is in P7. What has happened to those guys anyways? Sam Giesbers is trying to chase down the lead. In front of him is silver driver David Simon Jr. and Louis Beeleke. He hasn't been able to overtake Sam Giesbers or Milan Tekens yet. Something must have happened to Frey Koekoek. Something must have happened to, I think, Johannes Treppmann as well. Perhaps those two guys have gotten into an incident yet again. But for now, Sam Giesbers, who I think is a little bit faster than the man who's currently leading, will definitely smell blood. Smells blood probably already. Smells the nerves of David Simon Jr., the silver driver that is exceeding the silver category. As Louis Beeleke does have the fastest lap. Looking to the inside now of the Spitskerre of the hairpin. Louis Beeleke dives down the inside. The number 7 Porsche does seem to have the move. He has completed the move, but it isn't sealed. It isn't sealed yet because, well, Milan Tekens is behind. Does he need to defend the Koanda Esports driver? The answer is no. Milan Tekens knows what he's doing as well. The number 7, driven by Beilicke, also has some rear bodywork damage. As you can see, the rear is just a little bit tapped in there. Maybe that's from the bump drafting. You can easily get some bump draft damage here at the Hockenheimring with these long straights, with these Porsche Carreras. Oh, we have a move for the lead, and that is Sam Giesbert. A move for the lead. Contact between David Simon Jr. and Sam Giesbert, the Maniti driver. Has made contact. What has happened there? Contact between the 526 and the number 3. The number 3, I think, just going a little bit wide there. The 526 perhaps having understeer, and it is done for Sam Giesbert. But David Simon Jr. is still in the lead. Just behind it is Louis Beilicke, who will now no doubtably charge on the outside for the lead of this race. Can he make the move on the outside? No, he can't yet. David Simon Jr. holding them up on the apex. And then, of course, the hairpin, which is important for slipstream. Milan Tekens has the advantage of the slipstream. Will he make it 3 wide to perhaps go for a move for the lead there? No, I think he thinks the better of it, but the 526 is still there on the inside. David Simon Jr. trying to defend his current race lead so far, shoving Louis Beilicke wide, and perhaps that gives an opportunity to Milan Tekens to take over the lead. None opportunities so far. Side by side, the Koanda Esports driver had with David Simon Jr. David Simon Jr. trying everything to shove the number 7 wide, but can't succeed so far. But they're still side by side. Incredible. Koanda Esports driver is having a really tough time compared to David Simon Jr., as I almost thought there would be an incident behind. And they're still side by side. Look at this, the action, the sensation for the lead in this race as David Simon Jr. tries it around the outside, tries to defend his lead in this race. But surely Louis Beilicke has done the move, has gotten the lead of this race. But what a fight, David Simon Jr., the silver driver in this category. Perhaps he needs to be promoted up to gold because, well, Louis Beilicke didn't get the lead of this race very easily. And if this is any future sign of how difficult it is to pass David Simon Jr., it will be very difficult for not only Milan Tekens but also the drivers behind, eager to move up in this race. What a fight we just had for the lead in this race as Milan Tekens again trying to close down the gap, and I think he is closing down the gap. That didn't look like the greatest exit for Simon Jr. and the slipstream doing its work there. Now coming on to the hairpin, the Spitzkehrer once more. Perhaps a dive for Milan Tekens, a dive for the 526. Oh, he goes way too deep. I saw that coming, you could see it coming from a mile away, and thus he loses the position. But perhaps most important of all, Louis Beilicke saw it coming as well. And well, if you didn't, that might have been a race-ending incident. You could see it here very shortly. Great awareness from the number 7 Porsche as David Simon Jr. perhaps unexpectedly only lost 1 position, but now Johannes Tretman. Oh, we have an incident. Frey Koekoek on his own merit. The Maniti Esports driver losing the car. Did he do it on his own merit? The number 6 Maniti driver, too much curb on the exit of turn 8. And there you go, losing the car, needing to rejoin safely. Is it over for Frey Koekoek? He's dropping down the field now, but yeah, that improves everyone a spot from P7 onwards. Michael Kool, Rick Postema improves. Postema, he was P8, now he is P7. You know, it's what happens with a reversed grid, with a reversed top 10. Incredible scenes here at the Hockenheimring. The 4.5 kilometer long track, giving us all the entertainment we need. Curious what happens in the midfield. Perhaps this battle for the lead has cooled down. This is Frey Koekoek trying to make a comeback in this race as he loses it once again. The Dutchman not having the best race in the number 6. Well, you want to have the camera. Frey Koekoek would want to have the camera very quickly off himself, but he gets a replay instead. Koekoek, the number 6 Maniti Eastworks driver, had such a good race in the first race together with his teammates P4 and P5, but undoubtedly Frey Koekoek has now damage, has very hot tires, and perhaps the only thing he will do, and I think not, because well, Koekoek, he has shown he has pace in this race. He's fall down, but he has pace and can already maybe make a move. Christian van der Perk, the Canadian driver. Oh, going wide, spinning in sync once again, touching Yuri Verzwijveren. And it goes from bad to worse to the Dutchman. That's not something you want to see as a Maniti racing fan. But I'm sure they'll come back stronger. I'm sure they had the pace in race 1. Sam Kuijten in P8. Yes, something happened to Sam Kuijten, but how much does it matter? Can he still finish P2? He didn't get the victory in race 1, so he got P2. I think if he'll end up P2 this race, he'll be very satisfied. Sam Kuijten will be. And a fight just in front of him, which is only for the better. Jelle Bele and Rick Postema, both trying to make each other's life worse because they're fighting and now losing time. Rick Postema on the outside, the 528 on the inside, and through Sam Kuijten goes, or does he go through? Because well, he's on the inside, which means he's on the outside for the next corner. The 528, does he need to give room? The answer is no. To the inside Sam Kuijten goes, perhaps has a little bit of a look, but Jelle Bele currently in P6, needing to keep a cool head. Did make a move in the Spitskere, but it was a little bit with contact. It was a deep dive, but well, the stewards will decide about that. No live stewarding as Sam Kuijten, well, Jelle Bele must be said, gives Kuijten the room there, and that means that Sam Kuijten can go on his way to perhaps get a P2 if that is in it. Well, Milan Tekens, 1 second, only 1 second is the gap to Louis Beilige. And the question I have now, well, does Milan Tekens, is he that fast, or did Louis Beilige make a mistake? I think it's the first answer, because Milan Tekens just did a 40.1. It's not his fastest lap, but probably because it wasn't validated. His last lap, a 40.1, the best lap from Louis Beilige, 139.9. And that means that Milan Tekens is on the pace. But does Louis Beilige have some damage? I think he does have some damage. I did point it out earlier in this race as Rick Postema goes by Jelle Bele. Oh, a lot of fighting here. Cut back, switch back. Rick Postema will make it 3 wide, yes. Coming out of the hairpin. Won't he? No, he won't make it 3 wide. What does he? He does. Jelle Bele in P9. Oh, shoving the driver on the inside. It is Rick Postema wide. Oh, and there goes Robert van Horen. And it all kicks off now in the 2nd to 3rd sector here at the Hockenheimring. But it's still Rick Postema and Jelle Bele somehow finding each other, fighting toe to toe for P7 here. Jelle Bele P8 just behind that. Perhaps drivers can capitalize because these drivers do not make it easy on each other. Jelle Bele driving GT4 in real life as well. Currently enjoying his Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux venture at the iRacing NXTGP Cup. To the last corner they go. As Mikel Alonso, I think, finished P10 last race as well, the Spaniard, and now having a consistent run of form. He did have an incident earlier in this race, which made him fall down to number 9. but currently in P10, has recovered, and the Spaniard can maybe even get some positions more. Oh, we have a spin, the 5-8, and now everyone needs to avoid him, and not everyone avoids him. I think that is Niels Blauwiekel or Michael Kool who lost the car, or who touched the car of Jelle Bele. Just talked about Jelle Bele, who's enjoying his venture in this Porsche Super Cup. It's the commentator's curse. It must have been. I'm so sorry, Jelle Bele, but I think I need to take that. I need to take that one. I'll knock on my table the next one if the next time I say something positive about someone. Which means, well, Mico Alonso gets promoted a spot. P9 it is for him. Some counted. Well, I mean, the gap is 6 seconds to Dennis Blocker. And everyone's not that slow as well. Everyone coming into, well, throughout this race has finished, because I want to say Robert van Hoorn has finished his race, because he is out. The driver falling down the back, Robert van Hoorn out, no idea how. This is like possible. What I wanted to say about Sam Kuytet and everyone ahead of him, the field is quite tight. You can see Sam Kuytet driving a 40.3, but just in front of him 40.6, 40.6, 40.87, which means, well, those are the fastest lap times, of course, not the invalid lap times. We only see for a split second on the left side of the timetable once they come across the line. As Jelle Bele also DNFs. But my point is that everyone is very tight. Does Jelle Bele DNF? No, he doesn't. He just goes through pit lane. Very interesting. Well, the timetable says you DNF when you go through pit lane. Jelle Bele, not a DNF to find on his name, just a venture in pit lane. As behind that is Frey Koekoek. And of course, got himself involved in that incident. Minity driver driving in P21. But to make my point clear, the pace is really, really close between the top one, P1 and P7. Perhaps P7, perhaps P6. Postma driving a 140.9. Jelle Bele spinning around once more, and this time he really is out of this race. Has had enough of it, the GT4 driver. Just too much curb, too much throttle on exit, and well, this Porsche with the rear so incredibly sensitive. It is no surprise we see mistakes here at the Hockenheimring. Not the most difficult track, Hockenheimring, but with so many cars challenging nonetheless, as Frey Koekoek wants to go for a move and gets past Jamie de Koele, driving a bronze driver, currently driving in P20, just gotten overtaken by Koekoek in the number 6 Maniti racing car once again. Definitely has some damage. Tim de Vries in pit lane. This is David Simon Jr., who is defending his P4. Well, he knew how to defend. We saw it earlier, held off Louis Beilicke for the entirety of a lap, and now he needs to fend off from Johannes Treppmann, and Johannes Treppmann also needs to defend from Dennis Blocker. Johannes Treppmann in the number 18, the German driver, trying to overtake the Dutch driver. The home hero, as you could name him. Of course, Louis Beilicke is the home hero, who's doing just a little bit better in P1. But Johannes Treppmann in P4, chasing down the final podium spot. As we only have 2 minutes to go. I am out of words. The race has gone incredibly fast, 20 minutes long, 20 minutes filled of action, ladies and gentlemen. Again, I said it before, I'll say it once more. When you're having fun, time does really fly. As Louis Beilicke, currently the best German driver on a German track, has won the first race of the season. He will perhaps win the second race of the season. I'll just knock for good measure, because I've ruined the race of Jelle Bele. And I'll knock for good measure as Lewis Beilicke in a 20-minute short race, you could also call it, is already lapping drivers. This will be his last lap, and I'm not sure if David Simon Jr. will stay P3. I think he will. Let's focus. Oh, as I think that Silva and Vasten out. He goes wide, probably just wanting to led by Lewis Beilicke. Let's focus on the leader for the finish, because the number 7 Porsche Carrera Cup car driven by Lewis Beilicke for Kawana Esports has won race 1, as the virtual grandstands applaud for him, because he's coming through the last corner to win race 2 here dominantly at the Hockenheimring. Lewis Beilicke, your winner in race 2, drifting out of the last corner, and Lewis Beilicke is your rightful winner of race 2 here at NXTGP. Lights to flag victory for race 1, comeback in race 2, and it's going to be Milan Tekens who finishes P2, 1.8 seconds. What a job by Milan Tekens in P2. Very well driven there by the Dutchman. David Simon Jr., he will finish P3. What a race. Hard fought by David Simon Jr. Incredible defending there. Johannes Trepman will finish in P4, followed by Dennis Pocket. Sam Kuitert will be your man who finishes in P6. Gion Tutuwelle will finish P12. But it's Rick Posma in P7. Tiro Linde in P8. Niels Blauwiekel in P9. Sander Kamphuis in P10. And further down the road, there are a few people who still need to finish then. As the race for some haven't been completed. Marco Kerkman finishes in P21. Freek Koehoek finishes in P18 after that difficult race. Niklas Werler in P22. Tim de Vries in P23. And well, I think all of the whole field has finished, and that means also that is first round of the NXTGP iRacing Porsche Carrera Cup Benelux at the Hockenheimring. The virtual Hockenheimring has come to a close. We have seen an eventful qualifying, a spectacular first race, and a spectacular second race here in Germany. And well, I can't wait for the next race, which also is at October 9th at Imola. Imola, of course, very difficult circuit. A little bit like this, but with less straights and perhaps less overtaking opportunities. But we all know the man who sits behind the wheel can truly make a difference. And well, I hope to see you at Imola. We also still have some more leagues to look out for. We also have the NXTGP iRacing GT World Endurance Championship. We just did a 6-hour Petite of Le Mans last weekend, and at October 14th we will have our second round, the 3 hours of Bathurst, which you can still sign up for. A prize pool worth of €1,400, so be sure to check the Endurance Championship out. We then also have our Mazda World Cup, our Esports MX5 World Cup with 2 splits. Split 1 being a free entry, split 2 being not a free entry, 17.5 euros. I rating 1,300 minimum, but most importantly, prizes as well. But as we come to a close here, this stream, again, I look very much forward to our second round here at Imola. I hope to see you all back, to see all the drivers back for the second round, because with 35 drivers, it's going to be spectacular at the Italian circuit of Imola. I will see you back at the 9th of October.